So let me simply start with the fact that immigrants are and always have been good for America. I'd like to repeat that. Immigrants are and always have been good for America. Contrary to the ugly rhetoric of this campaign season, other countries, in fact, tend to send us their best citizens. Immigrants are disproportionately young, about 10 years younger on average than the native population. They are ambitious, they are healthy, they are pioneers, and they're very hard workers. In fact, the lazy and the sickly don't come. The data show that they tend to be employed at higher levels than the native population, and they pay more in taxes than they receive in benefits. A very important point if you're in the midst of these debates these days. Plus, immigrants actually use fewer social services, and they commit crimes at much lower rates, anywhere from 1/3 to 1/4 less, than the native population, according to the latest data. In fact, immigrants have transformed dying towns in the Rust Belt with their small businesses, their hard work, buying homes, restoring neighborhoods, and reopening closed classrooms. The children of immigrants represent all of the growth in the K-12 population nationally. Without them, there would be population stagnation or even loss. And this is a really critical point, because the health of the economy is dependent upon increasing the share of young workers in this country. But first, we need to reframe who these students are and call attention to the assets that they have and the potential assets that they are for this nation. We now know that there are myriad benefits of bilingualism, and especially of biliteracy: social, psychological, cognitive, educational, and economic benefits. Socially, Min Zhou and Carl Bankston, Ruben Rumbaut, and others argue that bilinguals simply have more social networks for information and support, and greater family cohesion. They're less likely to challenge parental authority because there's better communication between the young people and their family members when you don't cut off their primary language. And thus, these young people enjoy greater family support for their learning. Psychologically, Alejandro Portes and Lingjin Hao point to the tendency of bilinguals to develop stronger identities and a greater sense of self-worth, which in turn affects motivation. I've already discussed some of the cognitive advantages, but educationally, the work of Ilana Umansky, Rachel Valentino, and Sean Reardon from Stanford, who have followed students in bilingual and dual language programs from kindergarten through high school, demonstrates that by secondary school, these young people achieve higher rates of English proficiency and perform better on academic tests in English than those English learner students who've been assigned to English-only programs. I cannot underline enough how critically important this research is, because prior to this, we had short-term studies. We didn't know what the long-term looked like, and it kept us from fully understanding the tremendous benefits that accrue over time to those young people who are able to develop not only bilingualism, but biliteracy. Lucrecia Santibáñez and Estela Zárate found, based on national samples from U.S. Department of Education data, that biliterates were more likely to go to college than those children of immigrants who lost or did not develop their first language.